Good for you bringing in this and learning so much. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you, Felicia, for being here. Welcome to the Rise Up Summit.
Yeah, it's my joy to be here, Leslie. And I just texted your assistant. I'm in Tucson. We're in monsoons, and we have like a major wind coming through. We just got a wind warning. So if for whatever the reason my internet may go down, it rarely happens, but it can happen on occasion during monsoon season. Just know that that's what's going on, and I'll come back or I'll get on my phone if I need to.
Sounds good. We will be patient. And as I've said, these things happen sometimes during summits. Sometimes people disappear, they come back, and we just keep going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Felicia, you're going to talk to us about Break the Stuck, Mastering Momentum for a new unprecedented level of success.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this. And if you want to know a little bit more about Felicia with her bio and all that, I don't want to take up all of her time with reading it, but it is on Facebook on her picture. And just to remind you, we will be putting all the free gifts under all the speakers' pictures on Facebook. Just give us some time after the day to do it, and they will end up there. So check out our Facebook group and join the conversation there. So Felicia, Break the Stuck, Mastering Momentum. Tell us a little bit about how you became so passionate about this and in passing this learning on.
Yeah, well, so I discovered, and this, Leslie, what many people refer to as universal law at a really dark time in my life. That and when I have a longer period of time, I go into this a little bit more. But came from a really challenged background, childhood. Both my parents suffered from mental illness and addiction, and so I took on a belief that the world was a dark, dangerous place and not to expect much, right? And kind of literally kept my head down below the radar. And I was just at such a desperate place in my life, really open for anything, either that or I was like, even debating whether or not I wanted to keep going. And I got introduced to these laws that somebody said, come to a speaker. I think you might be interested. And I knew nothing about this, but again, I was at that desperate level, and I went. And it was just like, oh my God. It's like I walked out of the basement of myself into a technicolor world that for the first time in my life, I heard that there really could be a different way. So I grabbed hold of it, I applied it, and my life transformed. Now, that's not the end of the story. Fast forward several decades later, and I realized that there was like another level longing in me. There were, beginning to have edges of discontent for what was, and it was really good, especially compared to where I came from. And I realized that I wanted more. And the two areas, so when I work with people, I work in four areas: the area of your health, your relationships, your vocation. This is how you share your gifts and your talents, and your freedom in your checkbook and on your calendar. And the sticking points for me were my income and my vocation. I wanted to grow both because I wanted to make a bigger impact with both. And I was doing what I knew how to do at my current level of awareness and understanding, and I just wasn't budging. And frustration, just soul sucking disappointment. And I really got to a point where I realized, there's a law called the law of sufficiency. My understanding was not sufficient for my dream. My current level of understanding of how these laws work was not sufficient for my dream. And doing what I was doing was not growing my understanding. So I made a decision to go and literally sit at the feet at truly one of the most powerful human potential teachers on the planet. 14 years, I'm still there. And I truly did learn and have learned a paint by number spiritual success system that I've applied it
Got a line for me?
Okay.
Sure, there's water.
Director, you can join in the conversation. Somebody's got they're off mute. So, but you know, when I really got finessed with and got a much higher level of sophistication, my life took off again. You know, that today I have the honor of serving the dreams of thousands of people around the world. My company gives tens of thousands of dollars away to charitable organizations. My husband retired 7 years early. And I was already doing a version of this work, but now I got really clear to go deeper in message and broader in reach. And this is why I'm on fire with this, especially for people who have been exposed to this, that we can get stuck. And that there is a way to really get that momentum going again, where we just keep dreaming and achieving bigger and bigger and bigger. So
I really love that, Felicia, because there's a few things that kind of come up for me when you talk about this. There is this one where we can kind of think we know, everything, and we can get stuck there. That we're not kind of open to everything else that's coming to us to keep us moving. And the other thing is sometimes I get this a lot with people that I'm working with, where they're like, I thought I learned that lesson already.
yeah, I know. It's like you did. Guess what? Life Force Energy is asking you into an even deeper awareness with that.
It's a different level. You have,
Yeah.
look at this as a blessing that now you're ready to up level again, because you're ready for that next deeper level of what you've got to learn.
Well, and not only that, so the thing that I like to do is I like to put it not just with what you have to learn, but what's seeking to express through you in the form of your dream, in the form of your desire, right? Because I'm not going to go after lessons for the sake of lessons. I mean, I'd like to say I'm noble and all right, bring on the lessons, right? So I kind of duck the lessons if it's just for the sake of a lesson. When it's in service to a dream, when it's in service to a vision that's bigger than what I'm currently knowing for myself, then absolutely I'm willing to become uncomfortable, not, for the sake of growth, as I'm allowing a greater expression through and into my life as it manifests into this life that I love.
I love the way you put that. I love that it's I'm not just going to learn a lesson just for learning lessons. This is growing me, growing my dreams and my vision, and that is exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah, because here's the thing. We are these unlimited beings. It's crazy how powerful we are. And people hanging out in your community, Leslie, I know that we all have a level of understanding that we have this unlimited capacity to create, right? And what is that creative capacity? It's our thinking capacity. It's actually our ability to use our imagination, right? And to understand that the purpose of that desire that you're playing with in your imagination is not actually to achieve that. It's to help you discover more of that magnificence that's you. And so the dream calls us into a higher version of ourselves, right? And so that's where the growth is. It's like, oh, this is the person living that life. I have all the ingredients in me, but I'm not that person yet. And so that's where the growth then comes in. And it can feel like life is bringing you content. I always say that the content of our life, actually, my mentor said this, the content of our life is the curriculum of our evolution. And there's nothing like a good dream to start shaking up the content in our life. Right? But
Isn't that the truth?
yeah, when we understand that it's in service to growing into this more magnificent person who belongs in the world of that dream, then we become willing to lean into it.
I love that. How beautiful is that? And when we can look at it in those ways,
Yeah.
how much more we're willing to take those steps through the content and the curriculum.
That's it.
Right. Okay, so I just lost what I was. Okay, so you're talking about break the stuck, mastering momentum. So tell us a little bit about that. How do we break the stuck?
Well, it's a great question. So first thing is understanding that there truly is this invisible side to our results, right? So the thing that I continue to bring people back to is understanding that there is this universal intelligence that's expressing through us, and it's expressing through in the form of these laws. And so the first thing is to continue, and I'm sure that everybody here is doing study. Now I just invite you to go deeper with that study into a deeper understanding of how these laws work. One of my mentors was Bob Proctor, who I absolutely adored. I had the honor of working with him in a very close relationship for a bit before he um, uh, made his transition, went to the other side. And he's best friends with my mentor, who is Mary Morrissey. I've studied with her at a very close level for the last 14 years. The thing that I so admired about Bob is that he talked about how he had he received a copy of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill in 1962. Every single day until the day he died, he studied, well, or close to, he would study a portion of that book. That book had pages falling out of it. He would show it. It had pages falling out. He had it rubber band. And he never said, I know that. He knew better. He knew to honor what he did know and to stay humble to what more it had to reveal to him. So I think for every single one of us, and my mentors is, that's one of the key things that she's taught me, is to stay humble to what I don't know about this. And so to really dedicate ourselves to deepening our understanding of how these laws work, really coming to understand the power of our thinking. Then when we really understand the power of this, the power of our imagination, and realizing that all creation starts here, right? Everything is created twice, first in thought, then in fact. Then we would come to understand what it is to literally devote our lives to living from the most potent, powerful, holiest of all questions that we can live from. And I'm going to encourage you to write it down because you are going to forget. And the question is, what would I love? What would I love? What would I love to do, be, have, give? What would I love? Understanding that it is love itself. It is the energy of love itself, seeking that richer, freer, fuller expression through you and by means of you. So you really work with a vision. And I know that, we're talking about gifts that we're given, and the gift that I'm giving is how to really dig into the art and the science and work in a very granular, finessed way with your vision. Now, once you start working with a vision, you start allowing the vision to inform who your dream is asking you to become. Remember, the purpose of the dream is to grow you into that even more magnificent version of you. Who we are today I don't know how to do my dream. Who I am today does not know how to do that. And yet there is that in me that does. And so I allow the vision to begin to change my self-image, to change the way I see myself. We will never outperform our self-image. And so we learn to literally zip ourselves into the skin of the woman or the man, and we have men watching, who's already living that life. Now, the power of this, and you were somewhere, I was listening about action. The power of this is that when you start visualizing, really living into vision and putting on that persona now, you do this almost magical thing called generating a state of being. You literally change the way you think. Your brain chemistry changes. So now you have access to whole new levels of creativity, ingenuity, and most importantly, you are connecting to a source of intelligence that's always guiding us, that's always inspiring us. And you begin to hear ideas and see opportunities that have always been there. Think of this. I just flew home last night. I spoke in Denver yesterday, and I flew home last night, and I live in Tucson. And, 300 years ago, if I wanted to get from Denver to Tucson, walked or rode a horse, right? And had to plan a very long time to do it. Every step along the way, we had the capacity to get on an airplane. We just weren't thinking from that state of awareness. Everything required for that airplane was already here. And the reason I bring that up, when we really understand this, then we understand that your vision, your desire is a divinely designed desire. It's calling you into a higher version of yourself, and everything required is already here. We just need to come into that vibrational calibrated state in order for it to have access to us. And so it's, and there's obviously there's a whole lot more that goes into this, but this is the basic formula. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And when we really learn how to work with this energy in this way, it's like rocket fuel. Your momentum is going, your life, you are changing, and your life is changing.
Yes, there's so much to, on like, I love the passion you have with this, because what you're teaching us is so incredibly important. What I love is that it starts with what would I love, and I think we forget that we're supposed to have joy, we're supposed to have happiness, we're supposed to love our lives. And so starting with this question, what would I love, is so important. It's so important.
Well, it's the quintessential question. It is the foundational question, right? Because we're living either from one of two conditions, one of two states of being. We're either living from what our world tells us is possible, that's condition-based thinking, or we're living from possibility. We're living from vision. There really isn't anything in between, and anything less than an answer to what I would love is living from condition-based thinking. And when we are living from condition-based thinking, you are actually living a limited, constricted life, that you are actually constricting life force energy moving through you. When we are living from the question, what would I love? You are actually entering into this deep and profound relationship with this infinite intelligence that breathed us into existence. It is the conversation with this infinite intelligence, and it then becomes an expansive life, and it's a life of deep service. When we are living a life that we love, it is our highest service.
Again, I can't express how important this is. And we've talked, you've heard it from a lot of the speakers, even me talking, we hear this, you're supposed to do that, you're blah, 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 blah. And we forget to listen to ourselves.
Yeah, Leslie. Yeah, because it's all here. It's all here.
We have it.
We do. And when you are living a life that you love, and you're really working with that question, and you're connecting in with this life force energy, you're living your best life. And when you're living your best life, you're living your best version of you. And that's when we bring our highest selves to the people around us.
So really, this thing about, this thing that kind of can come out, that conditioning about, we're supposed to sacrifice, we're supposed to be there for everybody, we're supposed to, really is a load of poop. Really, because if we go from what would I love, we are giving all of those people around us, all of those people we serve, the best version of us.
That's it. I had a client who, she, and well, I still do. She is an alternative health practitioner. She was working 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours in her business. And then she had so many family members that were struggling, that were depending on her, and she was exhausted. And her dream was to expand her business, but it felt so selfish. It just felt so selfish, so irresponsible. And so she just kept burying it away. And then as we started working together, and she started working with this question, and she heard me talk about how there is no private good, that what's good for you truly is good for everybody else. And it doesn't mean they're going to agree with it right away, And when you really let your heart guide, and then come to understand that that desire is a divinely designed desire, and that we're serving this divine essence when we're serving with that question. And as she worked with that, she realized, wow, I really do want to grow my work. I just want to make it easier. And as she, began to apply these principles, she actually cut her work time back like to 20 hours a week. She's grown her business by 3. And here's the kicker: the people in her life are doing so much better. Her daughter moved to Florida. Her granddaughter's now working. She took her whole family down to Florida to visit her daughter. Everybody in her life is doing better because she understood that the selfishness is the sacrifice, that the gift is when we follow our heart.
Which is so beautiful, and such a different languaging than what so many have been taught,
Yeah,
socialized to, and so important for not only you and your dream and all of the thing and your service to this world, but also to all of those people that are most important to you.
that's it, Leslie. And it's just a complete mind shift with this, right? And so it truly is a matter of learning to trust a different way and stare down the feelings of awkwardness and fear. And it's one of the reasons why I stay in my own structures of support, and I provide the support that I offer, in terms of really creating an environment where people can put on this new way of being long enough and sustained enough for your world to begin to reorganize. And you see the difference. I've got another client who, he stepped out and followed his dream. Scary, and he tried it before without support, and his wife was working a job that she hated, and they were just bleeding money. And when he started, he actually went back and got a job, $250,000 a year, so it was a really good job. But he had to check a soul at the door every time he walked in. And so when he began to really understand and apply these principles, and he stepped out again, his goal was to replace his income. He did that within 6 months, and his wife left her job and is now doing what she loves.
Incredible things happen.
Yeah.
Incredible things happen. Now, I know where I could speak for days on this, Felicia. I know that you could too. And thank you for bringing this in. But you have a free gift, and I know you mentioned it. So tell us a little bit about
Yeah, so it's my spiritual success toolkit. That this is, a 30-year New Thought minister, where I actually had a church teaching universal principle. It's not, I just didn't go on the internet like I'm an ordained minister. That I actually had a church for 15 years, teaching these laws. And now I do this in my business. But all of that to say is that I created a meditation for you to really be able to listen deeply to what brings you most alive. I've created written instructions for the art and the science of creating a vision, and I created a daily practice, so you know what to do with that vision once you've created it. It's a morning and evening practice. So there's the link to grab that. And then what's my
and so then you also have VIP gift, revolutionizing your relationship with money.
Yeah. So what I did was, so one of the things that I have noticed in this work, and this is one of the growing edges that I really had to stare down and transform. I don't care what level of wealth that you have. So many people are challenged around money, whether there's not enough, you're afraid it's not going to last, you feel guilty for having it, whatever it is, money becomes the thing that people, the edge that people bump into. So what I did was I created a 6-part video audio series with a workbook to walk you through steps to transform that relationship with money, to really come into understanding the spiritual side of money. So there's the recordings. It comes with a conversation with me, and it comes with a ticket to my 3-day event here in Tucson. So you get to come hang out for 3 days, immersed in these principles with an amazing community, and going through that 6-part series will really help you lay the foundation for that.
Wonderful. Again, so generous. You guys, I can't even fathom the generosity of the speakers that are giving both the free gifts and the VIP gifts. So as you can see, this is well worth way more than the $47 that it takes to upgrade, and you get Felicia's gift. Who doesn't want to revolutionize the relationship with money? I mean, really. So you get that, plus all of the recordings of all the speakers, and you also get all of the other VIP gifts. So you can sign up there. Next up, we have Eva Gillette, and she's talking about nurturing intuition in children. And very quickly now, Felicia, one last thought you'd like to leave us with.
Yeah, so especially in this conversation around sacrifice, that dream is not yours. The one thing that I want you to really understand is that that dream is not yours, that you have been divinely appointed to bring this dream, this idea into our time and, in this space at this time. And that when we answer the call to our hearts, that what we're actually doing is serving this life force energy. And truly, this is how we transform our planet.
Love it. Love it. We
Yeah,
are serving our divine when we follow our dreams.
That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Felicia. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your beautiful energy with us.
Thank you, Leslie.
It's been a pleasure. All right, we are just going to take a quick 2-minute break before we